Hello everybody, it's with great shame that I must admit this episode is coming out a week late. I honestly just completely forgot about Bitcoin and the arts. You can tell I'm really selling this show hard here. Completely forgot about it. The good news is you're still getting an episode this month. The bad news is it's a week late, so if that's unacceptable to you, I'm sorry, but I guess you can stop listening now. Otherwise, I hope you can find it in your heart to still enjoy this. So I'll get on with it. I won't make you wait any longer. I found this article today that I'm going to talk about, and it's from March, so it's not really a new article, but I had not seen it until now. It's called "Nobody Buys Art with Bitcoin." So basically what happened is there was this art show, the Armory Show, which is, according to the article, one of the world's top contemporary art exhibitions each year. And they wanted to go and ask artists about Bitcoin. As from the title, you probably already know where this is going to go, which is why I clicked on it. I saw "Nobody Buys Art with Bitcoin," and I thought, this might be a good thing to talk about on the show, because we'll get into that. So the article starts off by talking about how people are always talking about Bitcoin, how it's going to radically change everything. It's this crazy, innovative, revolutionary new technology and stuff. Basically the kind of stuff that Daniel, Tim, and I say on the show all the time, and I say on this show all the time, blah, blah, blah. The stuff that you expect to hear from people like us who are biased towards Bitcoin. But, and then they say if you read the headlines, you'd think Bitcoin was making a huge splash in the world. They even mentioned that the Winklevoss twins, I guess, invested in an online auction site, which I don't remember hearing about that. I mean, they do a lot of stuff. I guess that's just not something that I heard about or remember hearing about. But and I mean, the whole point of this show is how I think art and Bitcoin go together really well, and part of that is me believing that a good way to buy art is with Bitcoin, or a good way to make money on art is by selling it for Bitcoin. So I don't know, reading the headline of this, I guess, is a little bit, sets you off a little bit. I should mention it's from a website called observer.com, or Observer Culture. That's what it says, Observer Culture on the top. I guess that's like the sub site that I'm in, but the domain is observer.com. So yeah, the journalist, whoever wrote this, Jack Smith the Fourth. Jack Smith the Fourth. Yeah, it's a cool name. But yeah, so he went to this art exhibition and went around and started asking people about Bitcoin. And the response he got was really surprising, I think. So one artist, I really don't want to try to pronounce his name. I'm just gonna not, because I really don't want to try. But the first guy they asked, he said never, ever, 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 ever. I don't know, I lost count of how many evers I said, but it was like probably 8 or something like that. 8 evers. So yeah, he's never going to accept Bitcoin for art. And basically what they found is that a lot of artists kind of had this reaction, and it was either that, like, no, I'm never going to accept Bitcoin, or it was like, one person said, is that still a thing, Bitcoin? That's Christine McMonigal, who's a director at the Sean Kelly Art Gallery. Sean Kelly Gallery. She said, we haven't used it as far as I know, but I'd have to ask. So they asked her to figure out if they had ever used it. She went back and checked, and it had never even come up. And when she came back and told this, the reporter asked her, did the person you asked laugh? And she said yes. So these are basically the 3 responses that they've gotten. That's still a thing. I would never, ever, 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 a million evers accept Bitcoin, or they just laugh. And it's really surprising because, well, I guess it's not really that surprising if you think about it. On the surface, it seems kind of like it would be, because you expect the art world to be kind of progressive and accepting of this and up on trends and new ideas. But I guess if you think about people who are going to exhibitions and like selling art and galleries and stuff, it can be kind of stuffy and elitist, as they say, we chalked it up to the stuffiness of more classic galleries. That's what the article that I'm jumping off of here said. And I guess if you think about that, that's kind of true. Art is like this museum thing where people walk around in marble buildings with nice shoes on or whatever and stare at stuff on the wall in glass cases. And according to another person whose name I really don't want to try to pronounce, Martin Dijkstra, I'm gonna say. I might be butchering that. I guess now I have lost care enough to actually try pronouncing things that I know I'm gonna fail at. Anyways, this person from Upstream Gallery, another art gallery, said, this is a quote directly from the article, "No matter how forward or contemporary the art is, the market is still quite conservative." Yeah, that, like, I don't know, reading that made a lot of sense to me. I can really picture that in the art world being the case. I mean, you see that in music as well, where, like, I just saw something about Prince today, talking about how he predicted that the internet was gonna screw every musician over. It's funny how the people who complain about this stuff the most are the ones who already made a ton of money. Like, Metallica's the one who's complaining about piracy, and it's like, yeah, you can complain about it all you want, Prince, how the internet's killing music, and then tell all the thousands of bands who would never have any fans at all and no one would have ever heard their music, that who only gained exposure from the internet. Go tell them about how terrible it is for musicians. There's just always trade-offs, but I digress. The point of this is that in the fine art world, nobody seems to be interested in Bitcoin, and it's kind of a joke to them. And yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know if there's like some kind of moral that I can pull from this. Oh, yeah, this is funny. I should tell about what they say at the end of the article, because it's kind of hilarious, this little bit. He says, "Surely this was just a show by wealthy gallerists uninterested in breaking with the pack and looking like fools in front of enterprising journalists." So what they did was posed as collectors and told a couple of dealers that they were really interested in buying a bunch of art, and they were going to spend about $40,000 on a bunch of smaller works. And after they talked for a little bit, they said, "We have a wealthy VC who has a lot of stake in the cryptocurrency space, and we don't want to make a show of no faith by making any significant transactions that weren't in Bitcoin." So then someone from the gallery, or someone from the one of the dealers that they were working with, said they took down the information, and they're like, "All right, well, we'll get you in touch with somebody. We'll try to figure something out." And they never heard back from them. It was like, they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you out. We'll figure something out. If you're gonna spend this much, we'll try to cater to you." And then they just completely forgot about it. Never said anything about it again. This article's from March, and I don't see any updates. I'm guessing that probably they never did get in contact with them. It's just like it's just completely not taken seriously. I don't know. There's not a whole lot that I have to say about this, I guess, other than there's still a lot of people out there. And honestly, in cases like this, I don't know that there's much you can do to change about it. Like they said, the market is really conservative. A lot of it's based in tradition, and there's a lot of stuffiness and elitism. I see the world of galleries and fine art being a really hard place to crack into with Bitcoin. I don't know. I wish I had something more optimistic to say about it, but I mean you can never be sure, and I guess don't rely on old ways to change. You should just instead create new ways of doing things. And there are people doing that. I mean, Dustin's got his Bitcoin art gallery, which I mean is a non-profit thing, but I mean there's a lot of people creating art about Bitcoin, and there has been art sold for Bitcoin. It's just not in the mainstream, not in the regular channels that people think about selling art, maybe not in the gallery scene or in the real high-class dealing scene, but it's happening out there. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it's better, instead of trying to teach an old dog new tricks, I guess, to use an inaccurate and old-fashioned, out-of-date metaphor. yeah, sometimes it's just not worth it, and it's better to kind of go your own way and see what you can do. I guess I did turn this around and make it a little bit more optimistic. That's what we're all here for. That's my, always my gig, right? That's not really true at all. It is interesting, though, like, I don't know a whole lot about that kind of gallery fine art scene. And I guess I liked reading the article, like, it made sense to me. Like, I'd probably heard things about people like this, or seen scenes in movies with art galleries and dealers and collectors and stuff like that, but I never really thought about it too much. It's kind of this whole world that exists. I think it's interesting, even though it seems like they're all a bunch of uptight, old-fashioned, whatever you want to call them, a bunch of uptight pricks. But I don't know. I mean, so the whole point of this show is always to talk about how Bitcoin and the art go together. Bitcoin and the arts go together. And this is maybe a counter argument against that. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, certainly there's a lot of people in art who don't seem to be interested in it at all. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't benefit if they did take a chance and get involved with it. But I don't know. I mean, usually I talk about advances, but this is just a glimpse into an area where nothing is really happening. I guess what I could say, though, and this is going back a little bit to what I was talking about with Prince, is that, I mean, there are people out there doing this. There are people selling art for Bitcoin. There are musicians who have benefited from the internet. There's people doing Kickstarters that end up being really successful. Not that it's all good, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that comes from it. Maybe we should just not even worry about this stuffy old art gallerists and people like Prince. They don't want to hang with this new stuff. Whatever, just let them sit or whatever. I mean, we don't need to change everybody. Take whatever victories you can. If it's really that good, if it's really that life-changing, I guess it will prove to be that. It will demonstrate that itself. You don't really need to argue for it. It argues for itself. So maybe people like this are more just to be laughed at or something, and not don't take it too much as a depressing failure or something. So maybe you guys can respond to me, comment or something, or I don't know. Get in contact. You can tweet at me. You can always do that. Let me know what you guys think about this, if you have an opinion. Is this something you expect? Is it stupid? Is it just the way things are? Do you think there's a chance for turning these kind of people onto Bitcoin, or are they pretty much just going to be stuck in their ways forever until they die and the next generation of people take over? I don't know. Let me know what you think. That's all I got. Sorry again that this is a week late. I hope it wasn't too disappointing. Who am I kidding? I'm sure nobody even noticed this didn't come out last week. Yeah, see you next time, if I remember.